Hello and welcome to the latest production of the Weekly Brief. This is our weekly look at the latest in Maine's legislature and what bills and policies are being considered around public education here in Maine. I'm Robbie Feinberg. I am the Director of Communications and Government Relations for the Maine School Management Association. And it has been quite a busy first few weeks of the legislative session. We have quite a bit that we're expecting over the next few weeks as well. So I will get right into it, sharing a little bit about what's going on and what we can expect going forward. So I want to start off with just a little bit of news that we are happy to share today. So first, one of the first things that actually happened during this legislative session was that the Labor Committee actually took up LD 653. This was a bill that would have allowed teachers to qualify for overtime pay. We talked quite a bit about this during the last session last year, as you likely remember. We had some real concerns around this bill. Obviously, we thought it would be a major administrative burden. It would place a pretty substantial unfunded mandate on schools and would just create, levels of administration that would be incredibly difficult, opening up collective bargaining agreements. Maine would be the only state to have this. So we had a lot of issues with this bill. And because of a lot of advocacy from schools, actually, you made a big difference, and this bill actually kind of got pulled from the House floor, sent back to the Labor Committee. And earlier this month, the Labor Committee actually voted unanimously ought not to pass on this bill. That means that the bill is officially now dead in the legislature. It is not going anywhere. It won't even head to the House or the Senate. It has already been placed in the legislative files as dead. So we were pleased to see that. It was an encouraging sign so early in the legislative session, and we wanted to keep you updated on that. Now, as for a few different other bills and policies that we wanted to discuss, we wanted to start with a topic that we know is going to be a big issue across much of the legislative session over the next few months. This is school construction. There were a few bills that were proposed around this during the last legislative session last year. And the Education Committee is actually one of its only carryover bills. It carried over one bill, when this was LD 1892, which was around school construction. It carried that over from the last session to this current session. That bill has a lot of language, but what you should know is that language, that's kind of the original language in that bill, is not really going anywhere. That actual original language is nothing, but that bill is really kind of serving as a vehicle for any school construction legislation, because the Education Committee seems very intent on making some progress on this issue that you all know is so important for districts all across the state right now, our real crumbling school infrastructure that we really are seeing. So last week, we actually got just a brief update on a few ideas that are currently being floated. These that I'm presenting to you, they are just kind of proposals, what are being thrown out right now. This was kind of at a work session, so do not take these as gospel. We don't know where they are going to go, but we did want to kind of give you a sense of what's being discussed. So first idea is boosting the state's revolving renovation fund for schools. This has been used for years as a way for schools to be able to make pretty substantial renovations up to about $2 million for schools, and be able to make improvements, help their schools in certain ways. What's being proposed here is finding money to basically create regular investments in this program. Right now, the renovation fund kind of has to be recapitalized every few years by the governor and the DOE. This would kind of work to create some sustainable funding for this program. And an important point too, it would also work to raise the limit on eligible projects from $2 to $8 million. And I think the hope there is really being able to encompass a wider range of projects and potentially being able to work on some larger projects that, if you're dealing with things like mold remediation or asbestos, those sorts of deals, being able to kind of encompass all of that in a project. And I think the real hope behind a lot of this is to be able to take on some of these larger projects with this, so that your school really can make a dent in improving its facilities. And maybe you don't need a brand new school later because of it. So trying to almost get a little bit ahead of some of these things. So this is one idea being floated. What's also being discussed is around increasing debt service for the state's major capital school construction program. This is the program that helps to pay for those new schools, those lucky districts that do qualify for new schools to be built. This is that program, and this would increase debt service for that by potentially up to $50 million over the next few years. This is encouraging. It would help to obviously fund new projects. It will also really just keep up with the cost of construction. Hopefully, we know that the cost of construction has gone up so much, and because of that, this school construction program has really been hampered and only able to really construct and finance a few districts each year. So we are encouraged by this, and we think that this would be an encouraging sign here. And we also wanted to bring attention to something else that was talked about. Again, this is just being floated, but it's an interesting idea. It's what's called an accelerator program for school repairs, and this would help to provide funds as a rapid response to schools that need immediate roof repairs or HVAC repairs. So we're really talking about here, these are those immediate kind of life safety needs for kids. You need to have heat, you need to have a roof that is working so that you are not having leaks, you're not putting kids in danger. So this would create a program that would actually kind of allow the state to step in quickly if a local district needed help in regard to any of these issues. So I think we see that right now a lot of this is promising. It's really tough to tell where things will go, what will get approved, things like that. But I think these are kind of what's being thrown around at the moment. Now, there are a few other factors. The biggest one right now is actually the Governor's Commission on School Construction. This commission has been meeting for more than a year at this point, and we are expecting recommendations from them actually next month in February. We expect to see their final report. They've been digging into a huge number of issues around school construction and really looking at the whole process and ways to improve it. The legislature really wants to hear from that commission. And those recommendations could really serve as some potential kind of starting ground for other pieces of legislation for them to act on. So that's going to make a big difference. And again, we're expecting to hear that in the next few weeks. And I just wanted to say, if you have any stories to share, if you have impacts from your own district, reach out to me. We would love to collect that sort of information and be able to kind of use that in our advocacy around this issue. We're able to obviously share. And I think this is an issue that legislators across the state are really recognizing needs to be reckoned with, but having your local experiences, that goes a long way. And obviously, when we know, potential other bills, when things actually really start moving through the legislature, we will let you know and really ask you to work with your legislators on trying to get some of this passed. So another big issue we just wanted to place on your just kind of just make you aware of this is school technology, which is for these first few weeks of the session has been a surprisingly prominent topic. So first of all, as you may have heard, Governor Mills is going to be proposing a bell-to-bell cell phone ban across the state as part of her supplemental budget proposal. The key thing to know here is that this is just a proposal at the moment. So the legislature will need to approve, any step here. They really will need to step in. And I know we've shared more details with all of you as school board members and superintendents around this, but be aware that this is just a proposal. So we will see how this plays out through the session. We know that the governor's office is talking about trying to include some money to help schools as they are considering options and looking at, storage options, trying to help schools with some of that to be able to implement this. So those are, I think that is an encouraging sign with this. We know that this may be frustrating for some of you. There's already that bill LD 1234 from the last session where you all have already kind of gone around starting to look at updating your cell phone policies, and you may need to do that again. But we will keep you informed through this process and really work to get information about this proposal to you and as it goes through the legislature. And there's also another bill as well, LD 2052. This is a bill that's just around a study. So this bill is just asking the Maine Education Policy Research Institute, that asking them to, study and look at what the state of technology in Maine classrooms looks like. This is something that our associations do support because we we hear from a lot of folks who say, hey, this is what the issue with screen time. This is, kids are using, laptops too much in schools, all these different things. And difficult thing is we don't really have almost any data around a lot of this. So our school leaders feel like it is important for us to be able to study this and get a sense for, okay, what does it actually look like in Maine? And, what are best practices around this? What are other districts doing? So we are supportive of that. But those are the two kind of big issues on this. I think a little bit surprisingly prominent topic so far in the session. Then a few things that we are watching. So the big thing that we are watching over the next week is going to be the supplemental budget proposal from the governor's office. Now we've had a few announcements about a few things around education she'll be including. Probably the most important one is that the governor's office is going to propose $46 million to ensure that the state can continue to meet its 55% obligation. This is vital. This is vital, obviously, for our schools to ensure that the state is continuing to meet that. So we're really pleased to see that continues to be included in there and that the state continues to prioritize this. The cell phone ban, as we discussed, and then also $4 million for school bus safety measures. This is really a response to those awful student deaths that we did see late last year. And these would basically work to retrofit all buses in the state with both school bus crossing arms and with those anti-pinch door sensors as well. And the goal being that all buses moving, this would apply to all buses in the state and would basically have a pot of money where your district could pull from to be able to really update your retrofit those school buses to make sure that they do have those important safety features. So we were pleased to see that included as well. So we are expecting to see the full supplemental budget over the next few weeks as well, and we'll share details as that does come out. That's all we've got for now, but just a few resources for you to follow. So you can also check our legislative dashboards. The link is up right there for you. We'll also put that in the description on YouTube. And then we've also got a link for you to be able to keep track of bills this session as well. You see that right there. So keep track of those. Those are going to be helpful resources for you over the course of this session, we hope. And for now, we just want to say thank you again for all of your hard work. And we look forward to continuing to work with you on advocacy and making sure that our public schools are heard in Augusta. Thanks so much, and we'll talk with you soon.